All right, today, after having an uncomfortable conversation with one of the people that works at my gym about how much she weighed, I got um, to my cardio machine. Today was elliptical. I got tired of doing the treadmill, and I got on there and I was scrolling through my phone to see what it was going to recommend to me, and it recommended me a 6-year-old video from Fontavision about working at Walmart. All of his points were spot on. I didn't work inside of a large of a super center, so I don't think that some of the points that he made were not applicable. But the overall attitude of working in retail, especially for as many years as I had to. The irony of it was I had just graduated from university and I was looking for work, and this is 2017, and I could not find work anywhere. I got so desperate. I remember going to the Tempe Town Lake, sitting by the lake for hours, just staring and wondering what was going to happen to me because only bad things happened to me after college. It was just going to college was one of the most wasteful times of my entire life, only to end up in a Walmart prison like environment. My life has just been a horrible, horrible series of events with extreme amounts of depression, loneliness, inability to connect. When you don't have any friends or family, life is hard enough, but then you get stuck in these awful jobs for a lifetime. It's a prison, it's a life sentence working low paying jobs. So, of course, when I saw this video, and I saw this video when it came out. I remember when this video came out. But the algorithm recommended it to me anyway. So we're going to go over my 4 talking points that I took on this video. And I'm going to do that in hopefully less than 8 minutes because I just spent half an hour talking about other things. Also, I just wanted to mention, please don't bring up topics, non friendly topics in the live stream. I just had 4 of my live streams demonetized. That's 4 hours of work that I lost because you guys are talking about stuff in the comment section that you shouldn't be talking about. So if you mention anything that's not family oriented in the comments of a live stream, you are going to get blocked. It's that simple. If YouTube is going to demonetize my videos because of what you guys are saying, obviously I need to cut you out because this is my job. This isn't, I don't do YouTube for fun. This is a job, strictly a job. So, as much as I want to have fun doing YouTube, it's not that anymore. It stopped being that, a year ago. This is strictly my business, and I'm gonna run my business into hopefully $5,000 to $10,000 a month. I'm on par to that to make that kind of money in about 6 months, looking at my growth. So unfortunately, doing YouTube is going to become my full-time job based on the stats that I'm seeing on the channel. So without further ado, let's get into my 4 talking points. All right, there's this word again: personal anecdotes of being treated as less than by customers who viewed employee as unintelligent or beneath them. Anecdote. Anecdotes. I don't understand. That word just doesn't work inside of my mouth for some reason. But being treated like crap by customers, that was something that you had to get used to because it was an everyday experience. I just talked about it this morning while I was at Sprouts. Is that I looked at a person that could barely clean the windows there. That's who every customer assumes the workers inside of that Walmart are, or any retail place. And I had a few incidents that stand out of my Walmart career where customers were very, very strange. The number one thing from my entire experience of working there was I had a really attractive woman. I was stocking shelves. I was probably, I'm going to say in the mid area, I was probably stocking vitamins or, yeah, I think I was probably in that aisle. And then suddenly I heard a voice behind me, right? And she said this to me: "Hey, do you know where the monostat is?" And of course, as a man, I had no idea what monostat was up until that point, right? And I turned around and she was just looking at me and she just said to me, "My hoo hoo is sick." And I'm like, "Oh Lord, is this really happening?" And so I thought, well, if it has to do with that part of her anatomy, it's probably near the condom. So we walked over there and there it was on the shelf. And I asked, after she left, I asked the pharmacist what it's for. And he's like, that's what happens when you know, the pink taco um, gets infected, right? And they need that cream in order to fix that area. And as a man working there, I didn't like working in anything that had to do with reproduction or that time of the month. And people would tease me all the time. It's like I wouldn't go near stocking the condom area at all. Like I didn't want to be that guy where someone asks you, do you think that I can use a Magnum condom? And if you think that's really rough, imagine working in a store where you're working the customer service desk and someone brings back magnums, right? They're going to return magnums. And you ask the guy, it's like, dude, didn't you understand not every man is a magnum man. And so this happened to me a few times where they would return the magnums because they obviously couldn't use them. And then they would ask you about, well, what size should I get? And I'm like, I haven't had any use for any of these anti or anti-pregnancy devices. I'll tell you this much though, I sold a lot of Plan B, generic and regular. Mainly a lot of generic. It was something that was sold no different than bananas in a store this close to one of the largest universities in America. I had regular customers who came in to buy Plan B. Like on a weekly basis, you would see them and they're like, yeah, give me it again. And I'm like, uh, did you not learn from last week? I mean, it's a box of Trojans is like $6. Plan B's $40. Unless you really think it's worth it, and then you got to go get tested. Oh my God. The amount of ridiculous customer interactions was just awful. And I know I've mentioned this one before because it happened to me. My first spring break while I was working at the store, I had a girl, really nerdy girl, who came in to buy a toy. Let's just put it that way. And she bought it on a Friday afternoon. Clearly remember because she was smiling at me the whole time. And she bought that. She bought a bottle of personal water or, human grease, let's just call it that, with this item. And she headed over the weekend. And Monday afternoon, I remember getting to work at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And here she comes into the store again, wearing the same NASA shirt that she was wearing when she bought it. And she just came over to the customer service department and she's like, I don't want this anymore. And I'm like, I know where this has been and I don't want to touch it. The same way that I felt about touching anything in that general area. I didn't want to have to touch it. We are going to throw it away after the return was done. And I'm glad that years later they wouldn't have taken that return back. At least the last time I heard that they wouldn't take that back because you have to throw it away. But the customers really do think that you're the most unintelligent, mouth breathing retard that has ever existed. And the strange part is that even though that's the stigma of the employees, that you work in retail because you're not smart, when they would talk to me, they're like, what are you doing working here? And I would say to them, I got out of school with 4 liberal arts degrees, and there's no place that's going to hire me. I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to do anything in which any corporation would pay me. And so I didn't go to college to work in retail. I went to college to become a college professor. But regardless of your dreams, reality can be a tough pill to take. Not all of the people that want to become professors or doctors or lawyers or dentists, any of the high professions, it's very competitive. And because and this is what I blame, is I had to work a full time job through the entire time that I was going to school and juggling 18 credit hours while working a crap minimum wage job because your student loans aren't enough money means that your grades are going to suffer. If your grades are going to suffer and you want to become a professor, those two things can't be compatible with one another. So I would just tell people it's like, unfortunately, I have to work here because no one else will give me a job. And that's how I spent my entire life, is wondering what was going to happen to me, because even with the greatest aspirations to become someone in life, working can sometimes ruin your whole life. Working ruins more lives than you can imagine. Working gets in the way of everything, of all of your goals. Very few people are going to be able to get perfect grades while working a full time crap job. It's hard to juggle that, especially for an extended amount of time. I had to do it for 10 years. And then to get out of school and realize that all this education that I paid for was completely worthless was a true kick to the nads. But unfortunately, that's the way it happened. I can't go back and erase the way that my life turned out. Talking point number two: dive into the psychological weight of the Walmart vest, which felt more like a badge of servitude than a uniform. The Walmart vest, I still have my Walmart vest. I keep it in my closet as a symbol to remind myself that that is the orange jumpsuit of retail. When you're wearing that dehumanizing uniform, it makes you seem like you're an adult child. I think it's the reason why they can pay you so little. Working in retail will never pay your bills. And it was one of the things that I had to deal with management on a daily basis. For years, you had to wear that stupid Walmart vest. And they usually just give you one too. You have to like keep it nice. You have to wash your vest. Guys, that was one of the hardest things for me to do, is to have to constantly wash it because you get so dirty working in retail because everything is covered in filth. You wouldn't believe that working in a grocery store is a dirty job, but your vest turns black from how much dirt is in the store. But not only that, I'm a big dude, right? So when I put the vest on, the vest worked as a push up bra. And you're supposed to keep your vest. Part of wearing the uniform was keeping your vest zippered up to the top, right? And they would also always ask me, it's like, Millennials team, why won't you wear your effing vest? And I'm like, do you really want to see why? And I'd zip it up and it popped my boobs out, my man boobs out, and it looked ridiculous. Imagine a man wearing a push up bra. That's what me wearing the Walmart vest felt like a damn push up bra. And even every manager that I showed this to was like, oh my God, please take it off. Unzip your vest. And I'm like, I told you. But every time we had a new supervisor that would see me out of uniform, like, it would trigger them. You could see that it would trigger them. The same way that they saw two Walmart employees talking to one another instead of working, you were not allowed to be in groups larger than two. If they saw more than two people, they had to come in and break it up and make you work. It was something unreal, like prison guards rattling their saber constantly around the store, looking for anyone that was breaking the rules. And this was a constant behavior, regardless. And the employees were employees, right? The employees were terrible too. Like, absolutely the lowest quality of people, and being stuck there, forced to work with these people, was a sentence tougher than being in an actual prison with sadistic guards. These people were not smart people. And the worst part is that when you would point out the fact that this is the best that they could do, they're like, well, then why are you working here? That came up a lot. It's like, why would someone that looks like you, that has as much education as you, why would you be working here? And I'm like, do you think I want to be working here wearing this goofy uniform with a name tag that I always turn around? Because this is something that happens to you when you work in retail almost. It happens at least a few times a shift. Some customer will walk up to you, they won't know where something is, and they'll walk up, they'll put their head right up to your name tag, and it's like, what does that say? Millennial Steam. Oh, is that your real name? And I'm like, oh my God, leave me alone. Like, my standard answer to dealing with customers when they came up to me and they wanted some information or they wanted to talk to me, it's like, what do you want? I said that every day. I'm actually shocked that I got away for years saying to customers, what do you want? I was like, I was an awful, awful employee. And management would often ask me, it's like, well, why haven't you found another job? Liberal arts degree. And he's like, oh, you're one of those underwater basket weaving graduate. Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, I made very poor decisions in my academic career because I wasn't expecting to work. You know, when you go into liberal arts, you're not expecting to work. You're expecting to stay at university for the rest of your life. I never planned on being out here doing these menial jobs. I went to school to be someone. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. And that's why I still was at Walmart for years later. None of the people that I worked with, I had anything in common. It was strange. I mean, to the extent where I had more in common with the people who came in to shop there than the people who worked there. But the uniform was definitely a demeaning thing to have to wear. And that's why I keep it. It's a symbol of my personal failures in life. Because if you ever have to wear that uniform, you have made many horrible, life changing, permanent mistakes in your life. Moving on to talking point number 3. Uniforms can reinforce feelings of powerlessness and low self worth in low wage jobs. If you had asked me if I was ever going to be wearing a retail uniform while I was going to university, I would have said, no, I will never work in a grocery store. And yet, now I have more retail experience than I could ever imagine. Things that I've had to block out from my memory over and over and over again. There are literally hundreds of times. And as he mentions himself, this is something that I felt every day. I wanted to get run over by a car while I was riding my bike to Walmart. Every single day that I went there, I hoped that I'd be struck by lightning, hit by a car, something bad would happen so I wouldn't have to go into work. And the worst part about it was so hard to look for another job while you worked there with unpredictable hours, insane shifts, forced overtime. It was just an awful. It's the lowest point in my entire life is after college. Not during college when I had to work and go to school, but after college, taking those soul crushing, self esteem draining jobs. It's like looking at yourself in that Walmart vest while you're cleaning a toilet after you just saw a couple go in there to get it on. Or you walked in on them getting it on and they just kind of looked at you like, if you want to watch, you can watch. That happened to me several times there where people were obviously making bacon in a public bathroom. Talking point number 4, because I am running out of time here. Reflect on the lack of meaningful tasks or stimulation making employees feel like their lives were wasting away. Putting the can on the shelf, little bro, over and over and over again. Dealing with management who thought it was some sort of, I don't even know how to put this. Putting the order of items on the shelf in a particular code, right? A color coded shelves. I never understood. It's all the same product, but they made such a big deal about the way that merchandise had to be put on the shelf. And you just look at them like, are you stupid? I ask myself that question over and over again. You look at the Walmart management. It's like, are you stupid? I mean, are you Forrest Gump? Is that why you really think it's such a big deal that everything needs to look a certain way? That everything needs to be put on the shelf like it's a piece of art, like it has meaning? And they just look at you and they're like, well, why don't you get it? Every day that I work there, they're like, well, if you don't like working here, why do you keep coming back? I'm like, oh my God. When management asks questions like that, like, why are you still working here? And I'm like, no one that works here wants to work here. And management always came back with the same rhetoric. We don't want people here who think this is just a job. We don't want people here who are here just to collect a paycheck. We don't want people here who are just here to do the minimum effort. Those are the people we don't want here. And I would say to them, those are the only people that apply to this job. But you're feeling like your life was wasting away. The day that I found out, and this is how I found out that the store was being closed. I came into work and it said store going out of business in 2 weeks. That's how I found out that they were closing the store. In fact, just the night before, they had had a walkthrough by a regional manager who said everything was great. I was there. I witnessed this. Everything's great. Next day, you come into work, store being closed. You're like, obviously, they don't care about the people who work in this place. Even management, the corporate office, acknowledges that paying for these mindless globs of human waste didn't matter. These people mattered to them as much as gum on the bottom of their shoe, and you feel that when you work there every single day because they come at you with the same ridiculous questions about where's the effort, where's the motivation, and I'm like, I left it in my other pants, the ones that I crap myself in because I dislike this job that much. Again, no business owner or corporation understands how much workers really dislike going to work. They brush it off as if it's something that doesn't matter, when I'll personally tell you that any person in America that's working a job that will never provide them a living, anyone who's working a dead end job, doesn't want to come back there. At no point do they ever want to come back there. Unfortunately, just because you don't like your job doesn't mean you don't have to do that job. Because if I could have worked anywhere else, I would have. But this was the only place that was going to give me employment before I got kicked out onto the street by my landlord. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, just put them into the comments. I I went back to Evil Court for 30 minutes this morning, and it has crushed my soul to the point where I am having an extreme problem today with creativity. And I'm going to leave it at that.